Please give a huge, warm, manifest welcome to the incredible Mr. Ted Lawlor.
What we're going to talk about today is how you can redesign your life, no matter what you've been through, no matter how hard it's been. And I know especially for women, they go through a lot more typically than men, so I don't know fully what you go through, but I understand it's a lot more. For context, I'm Ted Lawlor. I'm a somatic hypnotherapist. Your body has been trying to tell you something. If you listen to it, you'll understand, but many of us just try and think our way through and not feel our way through. Whatever you do, sometimes it just doesn't work. You try to go to the gym, you get that belly ache, you try to start that side hustle, and something just tenses up and you can't quite get it right. Or, for many of us, including myself, you'll try that diet, and of course you just can't kick that craving, you can't kick that addiction. Perhaps your body is trying to tell you something. So, as you can see here, 2017, I'm now 28. In 2017, I was in my first year of uni, and I was probably the worst state I've ever been in, mentally, physically. I was bored, lonely, didn't know what I wanted to do. And of course, being at uni, I was, getting involved in the wrong crowds. I wasn't doing the right thing in studying. But that sounds like most uni students you've probably ever heard of. And what that kick-started was 7 years of depression. Just because I was bored, lonely, tired, my whole body shut down. I actually got something called impetigo, which is where your nervous system shuts down so much, you start to get rashes, and it literally spread over my body, which of course, being in my first year of uni, didn't really help me that much with anything, especially the ladies. But that led to 7 years of high-functioning depression. I just was never myself. I couldn't get out of bed, quite literally, and the doctors said if I didn't go to see them in time, there was a good chance that could have been the end of me. So thank God I went to the doctors. But with that being said, 7 years of high-functioning depression, how comes in 2024 I went through what on paper was the worst time of my life, but in reality, it was actually the best. Now, forgive me as I go through this, because it's still quite daunting and hard for me to go through, but I lost my cousin to knife crime. She got stabbed in front of her child. She was at a birthday party and was just arguing with someone, went to walk away, and the woman come from behind, stabbed her in the back. So that was quite traumatic. I experienced that. My uncle then died a few months later, and I thought, right, something's going on here. I'm like being chased by the Grim Reaper, or I'm cursed. So just really going through a hard time. I had an ex at the time as well, driving me mad, like most. Sorry, ladies. Some ladies do drive you crazy. But I had a year from hell, and to top it off, at the end of the year, had a car crash that almost killed me. Somebody literally came out of nowhere and just decided for whatever reason they were going to try and take my life that day. And even thinking about it now makes me quite nervous and brings back those feelings. Luckily, I got away. It did lead to my car being completely smashed, and I had to pay a few £1,000s to get it fixed, but I walked away with my life. A week later, after just trying to recover, my dad unfortunately died in a car crash as well. So you can imagine 2024 isn't one of my favorite years. But what actually happened? So after all of that, I went through months and months of trying to apply the mindset work I knew that many of you in this room would also know, the therapy, the positive thinking, the affirmations, the journaling, and it just was not working. Luckily, I didn't get my impetigo back, but what I did get back was just that heaviness in my body. I couldn't walk, I couldn't get out of bed, and nothing was working. So what changed? How did I go from, on paper, the worst year of my life, to now, 2025, I started healing myself and others, and 2026, I'm helping hundreds of people heal their mind and body. Different, 2017 to 2024, I was thinking my way through, and that's why nothing changed, because you can only think as great as you feel, and I didn't feel great, and I didn't look great either, which didn't help. So that was the worst time of my life. 2024, I realized my body was trying to tell me something. All of those weird feelings in my stomach, that knot in my legs, that heaviness in my shoulders, my body was trying to tell me something. It led me to create a process called fault energy design, and that was based off the three things that whole process taught me, not only those 7 years of high functioning depression, but also that 1 year of really going through it. If you use the metaphor of a butterfly moving from a caterpillar into a cocoon and then into a butterfly, the first 7 years was that caterpillar phase. I was going through life, just high functioning, felt terrible, but was getting through it, not knowing what was coming. And it makes you wonder, does a caterpillar understand what they're about to transform into? Do they think their way through that process, or do they just feel it and allow nature to do what it needs to do? 2024 to 25 was the cocoon, and now hopefully I'm a bit more of a butterfly. So this is what it taught me. First of all, the body leads. 80% of your internal communications actually goes from the body to the brain. So of course, after 7 years of trying to use the brain, that's literally 20% of your internal communication. Of course, using 20% to change 100%, I'm no mathematician, but it's not going to work. So you have to work with your body. Even if you don't think great, you can move your body in certain ways. We'll do a little exercise afterwards as well where I'll show you that. But yeah, use your body as it's 80% of your internal communication. The second thing I learned, the energetic side. You cannot think greater than you feel, and your state of your body determines what happens with the rest of your life. If you change what's going on inside your body, you can send those communications upwards using a thing called the vagus nerve and send that up to your brain and see real change literally within minutes. And thirdly, every emotion has a source. One thing I understood from researching other studies and looking intuitively at my own body, I discovered a process where your brain is split into 4 different parts, which I'll show you in a moment. But the key takeaway from this particular point is the process of interoception. That's your brain's ability to understand what's going on inside the body. If you don't understand logically what's going on, it's very hard to change it. Imagine driving a car without a sat-nav, without a GPS, without a postcode, you're not going to get very far. So without understanding what's going on inside the body, you're stuck in that top 20%, which is why many of you I've spoken to before just aren't seeing real change, and you're not seeing it fast enough. So why did that process work that I went through? A year of understanding the body intuitively. Let's go through how that worked. The breath work helped change my state. Like I said, you can't think greater than you feel. That's probably my greatest message here today. Stop using this and start tapping into this. Breath work helped me change my state. The somatic hypnotherapy side helped me actually change the patterns that I was going through. So without diving into the subconscious, once you've tapped into 80% of your body, you then need to send those signals back up to the brain and use your subconscious. I'd recommend meditations. Just 20 minutes of meditation a day is more than enough. 2 weeks, you'll be more than fine in terms of seeing change. But that way, by going into the subconscious, is how you change your state and the patterns. Rewiring through repetition. Again, meditating just 20 minutes a day is more than enough. Interoception, the power of using your brain to understand what's going on inside your body in order to reverse engineer what's happening. And then finally, not just applying even what I'm saying today, don't apply it blankly to your body. See how your body receives it and work with your body, not against it, so you don't work against the 80%. Now, here's what I said about what I figured out, and this is probably the most game-changing part of the process that I went through. as it meant that you don't have to tackle every thought, feeling, behavior that you've ever had. You don't have to tackle it one by one and waste months and months. I've had clients that have had literally years of therapy and they've just cut it dead. As soon as they come to me, they figured out this process takes months down to literally minutes sometimes, if not hours. So the process, your brain is split into 4 parts. You've got the thinking side, which is the cerebral cortex part of the brain, and you've got the emotional, which is the limbic system. The leader is, for many of us, the most powerful part if you can tap into it. This is that left thinking side of the brain, and this encapsulates all the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that make up that strong version of yourself. In this case, the queens, some of the kings in the audience as well. This is the sovereign of your mind and your body. By tapping into this part, and it's as simple as literally asking questions to your brain. For example, dear Mr. Leader, however you want to phrase it, what do I need to do next in order to see real change? Sounds super stupid, but you will get answers back that are very different depending on what questions you ask and who you ask them to in terms of these 4 parts. At its best, that leader feels the clarity, but at its worst, it can become slightly disconnected and feel like it's bigger than yourself and everyone else. On that same side, though, in the emotional limbic system, is the lone wolf. This part, I'll explain it briefly in a moment, but this part is probably the biggest saboteur in your brain and in your body. For many of us in this room, this will be the part that keeps you isolated and holds you back, but makes you think you don't need anybody else because of the responsibilities that you've had in the past and the responsibilities it thinks you'll have in the future. But on the other side, the opposite of this is the romantic part. This is the right emotional part of the brain. This is the part that connects not only with yourself, but also with others and the universe as a whole. This is my favorite part by far, as for me, growing up in South London, you can imagine there's a lot going on. We have to sort of have that lone wolf tapped in. You have to stay alert. I went to Peckham the other day. Anyone know Peckham? Don't go there. But I went to Peckham. That part, well, that area brings back that lone wolf to the max. And you'll know which part is taking control as you'll feel that set of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So for me, the lone wolf manifests itself as being really rigid in the body and not wanting to look out at the crowd because I feel like, is someone going to look at me the wrong way and it's going to cause an issue? Whereas if you ask, and it's simple as this, if you ask your mind, ask your body to swap, can I swap the lone wolf and put the romantic back in control? Again, sounds super stupid, super simple, but that's the magic of this process. The romantic all of a sudden comes in. Then you realize, yes, people are looking at me, but they're looking at me for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on inside their head, but it's not as bad as you first think. They're not going to rob you, they're not going to do anything. And it allows you to open up to the universe and have that two-way conversation. And then there's the revealer, which is that right thinking part. This is the visionary, the part that's intuitive, and the part that you can ask to tap into when your back's up against the wall. Instead of using the lone wolf, you can tap into the revealer to find that magic. Dear revealer, how can I get out of this situation I'm currently in? Just sit with that for a moment, ask yourself, and allow the answers to appear without judgment, and you'll be surprised. These make up the 4 parts that encapsulate all of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and the different categories and way they present themselves. Enough talking, thank God. Who wants to feel the difference? Yeah? Let's do this.